What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father. At Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. PayPal link there also. They asked me to put it up, so I'll put it up. Thanks everybody for supporting. This video is entitled Don't Be Mad When They Move On. In general, people are going to move on. And if you're not appreciative of them when they're there, don't be mad. Don't get upset because you you want them to be stuck in a certain space for you. They can't. Don't be mad if they move on and they got somewhere that you wanted to be, because you moved. Because when you move on, you're not gonna look back. I talk about some things like this with my son about, everybody's not going to be waiting for you to get it. Like I try to tell him this in a sports coaching reference. The team is going to be the team whether you own it or not. They already got helmets. They already got uniforms. You know what I'm saying? They already got a court. They already got a field. They got jersey numbers. So whether you come or go, they're still going to be there. So they don't really need you, right? And this happens in life where, you think people need you when they really don't. And even if they do need you, if you're not willing to make it work, they're still going to have to move on. Now, sometimes people don't want people to be successful without them. Well, that happens. Sometimes you think people need you more than they do, and they wind up being more successful without you than they are with you, right? So don't be mad when they move on. Don't show up after the championship like, I could have did that. Why? Well, you could have, but you didn't, right? Because sometimes we overvalue our value, and then when people move on, you left holding the bag, right? And that's one of the things that, for some people, it just burns them, because in some ways, you want people to fall on their face without you, to prove that, you were worth more than they thought. And on the flip side of that, don't be mad when people move on and they're not worried if you fall on your face or not. Because like, hey, look, I'm just going. I'm going somewhere. I'm moving on. I'm going on. Whatever happens to you happens. I gotta take a different direction. And sometimes people are upset at that because then they feel like, you wasn't all in with me anyways if you could just walk away so easily. But that's not truthfully the case. Like if somebody puts their all into something, then they gave it all. They don't have anything left to give to that situation. So when they move on, they've already left it all on the table. They gave you all they had at the time. Now they're willing to give to something different, or to someone different, or to a different situation. And you can't be mad if they moved on, because you got to ask sometimes, are you mad that somebody moved on because you shortchanged them? Is it more upsetting to know that, they walked away from you getting over, or you getting more out of a situation than you put into it? Could be. Now, I think the other thing that's bothersome sometimes is, living in this world, what it, you know, if I would have did this, it probably would have worked. Well, if was a fifth, we all be drunk, right? That's problematic because sometimes you put a person in a position to move on. Some people didn't want to move on without you, but you forced their hand. And sometimes people find something better outside of you than they did with you. And that says a lot. Because now it's a situation where, what are you going to do? Seriously, like, what are you really going to do? Because can you be mad at them for you pushing them into a different situation? Because sometimes you push a person away from your situation and you push them into a blessing. And it's like, well, how did that happen, right? How did that happen? Like, I just pushed this person into a blessing. They were supposed to, go down, not go up. I mean, and now you mad that they like the blessing better than they like your shenanigans, right? And now you mad that they moved on. But you need to come back. Come back to what? That? Now I appreciate you giving me that shove like that. That shove really was the wind beneath my wings, right? But don't be mad if people move on. Like, it comes to a point where there's nothing left. There's nothing left but to move on. And sometimes when there's nothing left, it's a new beginning for some and a complete ending for others. And I think that's part of the reason why some people get mad that people move on, because if you don't look at it as a new beginning, then it's the end. And if it's the end, there's really nowhere to go from that. Now, one of the other things I find interesting, to say the least, is when you put yourself in a position, or somebody puts you in a position where they either can make the transition smooth or terrible. Because if you're happy for a person that moves on, you make sure that wherever they're going, it's a better transition. If you have an issue with the person, you try to sabotage their transition. And you're mad that they moved on. And sometimes you could be mad that they moved on and talk a person up, is what I'm trying to say. You could talk a person up, like, you mad they moved on, so you're going to talk them up to put them in a bad situation because you want them to fail, or they're a good person, so you're going to talk them down and badmouth them so you can hopefully sabotage the situation and they treat them a certain way when they get into this next scenario, if you got anything to do with it. But you're mad that they moved on. And it doesn't really, they'll go through it while you get to go home and act like it's cool, right? So the problem with that is that lets people know where you are, but you're not, just because you're not there to dump on the person or get the person dumped on, at some point, the truth is going to come to the light. And you're going to know if you did a person wrong off of the word of another person, or or you set it up so they could be done wrong. Because if they can't they can't help you, you want to torpedo them so they can't help anybody or can't even help themselves. But don't be mad when a person moves on, because life is funny. Karma is funny. Like, sometimes the very things you do come back to you tenfold. And when they do, that person could be driving by like, I've moved on, or they could sit there and laugh like, that's what you get, or they could not even be around, and I think that's worse because when they're not around, you can't blame them. You know, you realize it's you and it's your karma for the things you've done. So that's just my thoughts on this one. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.